question will start with Dwayne Pettigrew. What do you think of the proposal to end the Federal Reserve?
It's a good one for me. My Ron Paulisms will come out here in a little bit. We established the Federal Reserve in 1913. It was basically actually done by a guy from Oklahoma, a guy named Robert Latham Owen. He was one of the original co-founders of the First National Bank of Muskogee. So yes, folks, it's our fault, unfortunately, here in Oklahoma. But I think, the whole issue with the Federal Reserve was it was to be audited every 10 years. Anybody know how many times we've audited the Federal Reserve since 1913? Zero. What's happened with the Federal Reserve, by and large, is it's continued to grow in power. It grew under Truman, it grew under Clinton, and now it's grown tremendously under Obama. Why? Because we've taken away it as a regulatory type entity and we've made it a quasi-governmental entity that's unconstitutional. The Constitution says Congress shall coin the money. Now we've got the Federal Reserve coining the money, basically, and printing money just out of thin air. So in essence, with QE1, QE2, QE3, all of those sorts of things, we've printed money that has no value. We've devalued our currency. Our currency today is about 53% of what it was about 20 years ago. And with that, we've caused tremendous problems. Try to go to England and buy something. We buy some Eric Clapton tickets. Here they're $250, there they're about $500. The reason I know that is I took my family there. Actually last May we were there. But the point being is I think we need to audit the powers and policies of the Federal Reserve to bring it under control, and then at that point decide whether or not it's still a necessary entity. Andrew Jackson said we didn't need it. I don't know that I'd go that far until we perform the audit that was supposed to be done every 10 years. If at that point we go further, then I certainly would be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dwayne Thompson.
Do you realize that the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the United States government? It is absolutely unconstitutional. Do you realize that a board controls the monetary process of the United States? And it's not even a board that's answerable to our own Congress. What did the founders say? They put that in the hands of our Congress. We had a group of people at one time say, well, it's okay to let someone else do it. That's been our problem, folks, all along. We're so far away from the Constitution and biblical principles that made us exceptional. And every time we get further and further away from those principles, our country gets in more dire straits. If you'll think about that, I can go through a lot of principles with you, but back to the Federal Reserve, that's not a good thing. Now, I think I'll agree with Dwayne. Ron Paul has, he said something, I think one thing he said, we need at least audit it. That would be a good start. That would be a good start. All the different types of things, we just devastate ourselves because the people are not, you're not in control, we're not in control. That was the design. Of course, not even getting into the gold standard. I think Dwayne touched on that in the sense that, they devalued the dollar, come down to 53 cents. That they're killing us on this, and it's because we, the people, absolutely have zero control. We've got a board of individuals, and I'll tell you a book you ought to read. It's called They Own It All. They Own It All. Google the book, find the book, read the book. It puts it out in a very, very easy way to understand about the Federal Reserve and what it's done to us. But that's a deep, deep story. All I say is, if it's unconstitutional, it's not going to work.
Dakota Wood.
I disagree with the fact that it's unconstitutional. The Constitution gives Congress the power to raise the army, and yet the Department of the Army is in the executive branch. So Congress is able to pass laws and allow it to execute its authorities. There has to be a bridge mechanism between the entity that creates currency, whether it's a gold coin or a paper dollar, backed by gold or just by fiat currency. And getting that currency into the banking system. So the Federal Reserve serves that bridging function. It provides the warehouse that other bankers across the country go to to extend loans from that. Right now, it's on 0 interest. That's just the state of affairs we've got right now. And it gets it out into the banking system, so the small businessman can go to the local bank, or prospective homeowner can go to the bank and get money to buy what it is that they need to buy. The problem we currently have with the Federal Reserve is lack of oversight, lack of knowledge. So if we reinstituted what should be there, and you actually audited the books, it's already been mentioned, and you actually had Congress exercising its responsibility of oversight, we wouldn't have the problems we do today. But I do not feel that it is unconstitutional. It was created by law. It serves a function and a purpose, and you have to think, if you did not have a Federal Reserve, what is that bridge between the printing of money, which is legal and authorized, and getting that money into the banking system? Who serves that function? So I'm telling you, you don't want a bunch of representatives in the House doing that thing. It's going to go down the road to ruination that everything else does that Congress gets to look at. So I would not be in favor of repealing and getting rid of the Federal Reserve. It just needs to be regulated and we need that one.
Dustin Rowe.
How many of you can guess what the value of a dollar was in 1913 to what the value of a dollar is now? And I'm saying adjusted for inflation. Our dollar is worth less than it's ever been worth in the history of our country today. And the Federal Reserve will be 100 years old next year. I want to talk a little bit about the constitutionality of it. You've heard several different approaches to that. Some saying it's unconstitutional, others saying it's not. I think the Federal Reserve is a perfect example of the way we see our government operate. We have three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. All three of those branches have specific powers set forth in the Constitution. The Congress is the legislative branch. It's set forth in Article 1. Section 8 particularly, it says that Congress shall regulate and coin the money. What Congress did when it created the Federal Reserve was it took its constitutional authority and gave it to the executive branch. It just gave it over. I call that an improper delegation of authority. We've seen Congress continually abrogate its constitutional authority on a number of issues over the years. We continue to see it. We have seen this Congress abrogate its authority to the President of the United States over and over and over, to the executive branch. That's where the true constitutionality really must be examined. If the Congress is to have a certain power, then for it to give it to another branch of government is unconstitutional. And we're seeing that not only in the Federal Reserve, but in many areas of our government. And hence we've seen the growth of our federal government at a rate we've never seen before. And Congress sits over there with their hands in their laps and doesn't regulate and does not have any oversight. We need a Congress that will hold their own constitutional authority within their purview and quit giving it to the executive branch as they've done in the Federal Reserve and elsewhere. Thank you.